Hi, I'm Sophie Thomson and welcome to the virtual tour of Grow Up. Now this was originally going to be a feature garden set up at the Royal Adelaide Show. We had it all planned and had all the props actually created here, and unfortunately the show got cancelled just before we took it down to the showgrounds. So we've decided to set the garden up here and use it to demonstrate the concepts that I'm so particularly passionate about at the moment. As we look around our cities and towns, we see urban infill happening everywhere. That's where one large traditional sized block gets carved up and multiple high density townhouses are put in its place. Now unfortunately, these townhouses often have a big footprint on their small blocks, and that means there's very little space left in which to garden. So I want to demonstrate ways in which we can green up these small spaces. That's really important to help mitigate the urban heat island effect. I want to show you how you can use the Verge to create wildlife corridors, and how you can also attract bees and butterflies, and you can even grow food to help with your food security. Enjoy. However big your outside space, there is an appropriately sized tree to fit it, and that will create shade and shelter. Now one of the challenges is when you've got a small courtyard and you pave it all, it becomes really hot. Paving is at least 15 to 20 degrees hotter than the surrounding air temperature, so that makes the outdoor space unlivable. Adding a tree, which creates shade and shelter, suddenly transforms your outdoor space into an enjoyable place to spend time. Now I'm particularly passionate about deciduous trees in small spaces, because when they lose their leaves in winter, you get that precious winter sunshine into your garden. And then in summer you get the beautiful shade. Trees also help filter pollutants, they create habitat, they encourage the birds and the bees, and you'll even find they add value to your home. So get advice from your local nursery and garden centre about the right size tree for your garden and which one to choose. And as the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. Sometimes it's not the height of the tree that's the problem, it's the width available for it to grow. So there's a great range of tall, upright, skinny trees to fit narrow spaces. They're perfect for along the side of a driveway or up against a 2-storey wall where they can cast shade and shelter. These particular ones are upright pears called Chanticleer, and you can see they are stunning when they're in bloom and the bees are loving them, and they also give you fabulous autumn colour. Get advice on the one that's right for your situation from your local nursery and garden centre. Climbing plants are a great way to green up a space when you haven't got much ground space. Evergreen climbers are perfect for softening unsightly things, hiding fences or walls, but I love deciduous climbers over pergolas because they give us beautiful shade in summer, make a great space to entertain, and then in winter they let the precious sunshine through. And if you have got a vine-covered pergola, it's significantly cooler than sitting under a tin roof pergola. And actually, if it's a really hot climate, you might even want to add some misters, and it will be a delightful area on even the hottest of days. Nothing adds delight more to your garden than watching the bees or the butterflies dance around the flowers. So why not plant to attract them? What you need to do is make sure you've got lots of flowers that they love, and that you've got flowers all year round, not just in the warmer weather. And if you do that, you'll be delighted by what you see. Now the other thing is when you plant lots of flowers, try to choose flowers that the beneficial bugs like ladybirds, lacewings and hoverflies like. And there's 2 broad groups that work well for this. One is anything with a daisy-like flower, because in the centre are lots of little flowers all full of nectar and pollen, or anything that has an umbel structure. So again, lots of little flowers full of nectar and pollen. And even common things like alyssum are also fantastic because the beneficial bugs have got small mouths and they just love those nectar-rich flowers. So when you plant to attract bees, butterflies and the beneficial bugs, not only does it give you delight and create a wonderful habitat for these good guys, but it makes gardening easier because the good bugs help deal with the bad and the bees help pollinate your veggies. I'm here at the Verges Agricultural High School on the busy Fullerton Road, and behind me is this green wall that the students and I planted up a couple of months ago. Our plan was to grow it on here and then take it down to the showgrounds when we set the Grow Up display up. Let's check it out. When space is limited and you want to grow produce, you need to grow up. There are a number of commercial green wall systems, but to be honest, Many of them don't work well in South Australia's hot, harsh summer dry climate. So if you want to grow veggies in a green wall system, you need to find one that's got a big capacity. Felt pockets in South Australia often dry out too much, so these drawers actually hold quite a bit of soil to encourage the root systems to get big and strong. And as you can see, we've got all sorts of crops growing well here. We've got beetroot, cabbages, broccoli, chards, parsley and more. Another thing you can do when you've only got limited ground space is to grow what I call vertical veggies. I love these veggies that are climbing veggies that can grow up mesh panels. So in the warmer weather, I grow things like New Guinea beans, tromboncino, which is a climbing zucchini. You can grow beans, you can grow pumpkins and much more. In the cooler weather, you can grow things like peas. Now they grow really well up. They can even give you a bit of shelter and even shade, and they don't take up much of your precious ground space. We've seen an increased interest in native food plants. So if you've got some space on your verge or within your garden, why not add some? Many varieties will also grow really well in a pot. So whether it's old man saltbush or some of the succulent varieties that grow really well in hanging baskets, put some in your garden and then you can enjoy them outside in the garden and in the kitchen as well. Raised veggie beds are a great way to grow veggies whatever your soil conditions. 2020 saw this increasing awareness of the importance of food security, and whether you've only got 1 or 2 square metres, growing at least part of your own fruits, veggies and herbs is a great place to start. So work out what you like to eat, what space you've got to grow them, and then do some raised veggie beds and you'll have beautiful fresh produce which tastes fantastic. Verges or nature strips are underutilised land in our cities. Just imagine if you and the neighbours along your street all planted local indigenous plants to encourage local wildlife. One of the biggest threats to urban wildlife is a lack of habitat, and simply planting your verge can make a huge difference, encouraging native bees, butterflies and other creatures. Not only does it give them a place to live, but it makes it nicer for you to live there too, and it also helps to green up and cool down our cities. Over the last few years, there's been an increase in interest in indoor plants. And when you haven't got much space outside and you've got a lovely light house, adding plants inside not only looks great, but it keeps the air clean and healthy. And there's so much diversity and so many wonderful plants available. So find out how to grow good indoor plants and you'll have a healthy, happy home. I hope you enjoyed the virtual tour of Grow Up by Sophie's Patch. Really, this is just a teaser. We want you to come along and see the real garden at the Royal Adelaide Show next year. It'll be Grow Up 2 in 2022. If you're interested in any of the concepts we've discussed, head to my website sophiespatch.com.au and read more about them. You can even download the brochure. It's all about greening up our cities and our gardens so we create healthier, happier places to live and grow. Happy gardening.